Hello everyone, Pavlo with you, and here is your crystal clear and bright daily dose of Ukrainian accent. Today we are talking about great earphones by NF Acous. No, I didn't cut the name of this company, just their name, NF Acous NM25. If you've seen my previous videos about their gear, I'm a huge fan of this company because they always deliver their own unique vision in sound and not go into mainstream types of tuning. And an M25 is not an exception. They position this model as a stage monitoring solution, but I have zero idea about that application. I will evaluate them from the regular music listener perspective. It's a single dynamic driver model, price is $200. They especially highlighted their new clutter trap 2.0 technology they used to improve treble, but more about this later in this review. Anything I want to add here? Probably no. So let's have a closer look. Package is nice, good polygraphy, nice cardboard, pleasant touch, embossed elements, so everything looks really good. Inside, under this outer sleeve, we get access to the internal box, which typically for a company opens two ways. So here we have a manual and underneath a case. So do we have anything here? No, we're having something. Let's open it. Most likely it's 6.3mm adapter, at least it feels. It weighs like 6.3mm adapter. It feels like, yeah, and it is 6.3mm adapter. Then another signature element, this CD-like holder with earpieces themselves. Underneath you will get a set of different tips for pairs, and then you're getting stock cable. So accessory set is basic, but everything that you will need for the earphones you are getting. In terms of design, they look really much like previous models. Nice practical metal shell, not too heavy, and really good in terms of ergonomics. I can't say for everyone, of course, but into my ears they fit really well, thanks to the proper angle of the spout and overall smooth inner shape. Probably my ears already have this shape that fits many IEMs. You can see that they have a few openings, probably to work with their clutter trap 2.0 technology. There is a lip for holding the tips on the spout, protective grille, so all elements are in place. Spouts have average length, and the passive sound isolation is also about average. Faceplate just contains company logo, so everything looks strict and pretty nice. Probably it's what you can expect from the IEMs that are positioned as stage monitors. Cable made replaceable, and here used QDC connectors or 2-pin connectors with recessed pins. So it fits really well. It provides good mechanical durability. I like these connectors. At least my experience with them is really positive. There are ear hooks formed but with memory wire, but at the same time they are pretty stiff, so they hold cable really well. Stock cable is nice. It's silver, it looks good, and it's softer than average, and maybe not super soft, but definitely on the softer side, meaning less microphonic effect and overall great comfort. So you can see that it's braided inside of separate PVC tubes used as insulation. It goes to the splitter, another signature element with chin slider, and after the splitter it goes down to the regular jack. So basically, in terms of design, everything is also made really well. When it comes to the sound, it's definitely not a common earphone that tries to please everyone. So NF Acous continued doing their job in delivering unusual, great tunings. Here they've utilized their technology Clutter Trap 2.0. I always want to name this technology Clap Trap. And this is technology to eliminate peak on the 5 kilohertz area caused by the quarter wave resonance. Usually companies use some kind of damping or some kind of filters, but that reduces the dynamic sometimes. And here they utilize some other approach, and that is their patented thing. I will talk more about this when we come to the high frequencies. And in terms of overall tuning, let me start with analogy. I'm using 9 Barista stovetop espresso maker to make my coffee, and it definitely requires more effort than traditional espresso maker. And you spending more time, you can make only one shot of espresso at a time. But at the same time, when you master 9 Barista's coffee maker, it definitely gives you great consistent results. And same with these earphones, because they require great material, they require great source, and they require a bit of actually not usage but accepting their sound signature. And when you do it, they reward you with really great sonical performance. They are monitoring, but at the same time not dry type of monitoring, but still they have a noticeable accent on the micro contrast and details, so with OLED Pro and Con. They are tuned slightly on the brighter side of things, so if you're sensitive for the treble, I warn you in advance. But with all that said, let's talk about the sound. So bass go deep, probably to maximum depth, but at the same time, it's like absolutely fat-free bass. It's fast, it's dynamic with great textures, with incredible amount of small nuances, and they are not boosted and not recessed, so there is no that effect of moving instruments forward, but at the same time you're getting all nuances and details. Deepest layers of bass, as much as it's possible in the earphones, are present, but at the same time they are not dominating and not pushing forward. It sounds great with good records, it sounds great with timbre-rich instruments, but if you used to some additional weight, probably it won't be your cup of tea, because they don't have any additional weight. But what is present in the record in terms of weight, they will of course deliver. Bass is really snappy, punchy. At the same time, it's not trying to be punchier than it's recorded. So great bass if you like neutrality. And I prepared 2 examples. First one is Odaiko by the Ondekoza. It's Japanese taiko drummers. They lot of smaller drums and of course a few big ones, and the big ones sound great with nice resonance, with all that overtones. There is a common mistake that big drums is about bass, but they have tons of resonance that goes almost to high frequencies. And to give you realistic sense of big drum, you need really technical earphones throughout the whole sonic spectrum, and NM25, it's a good example of this. Bass is really coherently transitioned to the mids and well controlled and stay in place. And second example, it's Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal. I really enjoy like a bit drier bass with this track. It's really well recorded, and honestly I miss the times when pop music was created with such skill. And it's extended mix. It has a lot of different intermissions, additional instrumentation, and it has a nice, interesting spoken part. But during that spoken part, there is a really deep bass hits that like build the foundation for these words. And it's a good, good experience hearing that deepest bass and being able to separate it from the words that are spoken. And the main part, of course, also gives you great sense of realism with nice contrast between bass and the mids. Mid frequencies are natural, focused on the micro contrast, but not too much. They don't sound too analytical or thin or natural, but you definitely will need well mastered records, because on poorly recorded stuff you will hear that. Actually, these earphones don't highlight issues in the record, but they just play it as is without any attempts to sugarcoat it. But with good records, you'll get really saturated vocal, both male and female. You'll get great weight distribution for the instruments. You'll get all that separation and the ability to focus on the separate instruments, but at the same time, really nice musical coherent sound. Imaginary stage is noticeably above average in width, also really good in depth, but width is even better than depth. And even you getting that 3D positioning and holographic sense of immersion into the stage, not as some top-of-the-line earphones, but on a really good level. Sometimes it reminds some good planar earphones in this aspect. And of course, it requires also properly recorded material and source. So when it comes to some epicness, it will deliver it. So, first example, it's Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden, probably my most favorite track by Maiden. I really like that part after the first chorus with guitar solo, but at the same time you clearly hear bass guitar that builds that foundation. You hear that Iron Maiden signature sound of the bass, and you can relax and experience the track as a whole, but you can also focus on the separate instruments. I'm not speaking about things like Bruce's vocal, because he was on the peak of his form. Really great sound here. And Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, Cottontail. So everything is great here. So nice performance and pretty decent record quality for that time. And these earphones deliver it really well with all details, but at the same time not too dry. And the treble, actually, yes, treble is energetic, it's pretty bright. For me, it's not crossing the threshold of brightness, but I understand that for people sensitive to the treble area, it can be a bit too much. But at the same time, thanks to this clutter trap technology, you definitely getting more even treble, and they are less spiky and harsh than usual in this price range. Extension maybe not maximum, but really good, and actually you getting pretty decent for this price layering with all that overtones. So really good saturation of the treble with both basic and advanced overtones, a lot of energy, a lot of accents in the high frequencies, but at the same time really natural representation with proper weight distribution, without too fast attacks, without sounding too thin and too airy. And also requires a good material here too, probably unsurprisingly. First example, it's Pain of Salvation, ending theme. Really like this track, really, for me, Pain of Salvation stand aside from typical prog metal bands, because Gildenlove is great in tearing himself inside out and opening his emotions, and this track sounds for me this way. And actually, it's the example of the not perfectly recorded track, because the percussion here is it's normal, but not great, and you'll hear that. But at the same time, Gildenlove's vocal overtones goes great in the high-frequency area, and these earphones deliver it. And that orchestral part that gives this ending theme vibes also really great, really engaging. Guitar work is nice, so also enjoyed this track, despite of some shortcomings displayed by these earphones. I enjoyed this representation. And Ozark but by Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays, basically track created for these earphones. A lot of different percussions, bells, I don't know the names of all that parts of the drum set. Really upbeating, airy melody with a lot of sparkling, a lot of airiness, and these earphones deliver it in a great way. In terms of pairings, you'll need a good source for these earphones. Maybe not some top-of-the-line player, but something of middle segment, or at least some good portable deck will be a great plus for them. You can actually try to pair them, for example, with some deck with tubes or R2R to give them additional warmth, and they are really responsive to the source. But at the same time, you can use something natural and just enjoy the pure richness of your tracks. They are not super sensitive, but at the same time don't require tons of power to drive them properly. Speaking about the compressions, for me they stay aside from the rest of earphones because of this focus on the neutrality and technicality. Not much sense in comparing them with some models by other companies. I don't know, starting with Fio and ending with Kiwi ears, for example, that I reviewed recently. They are more traditionally tuned. So let's focus on the NF Acous themselves. So compared to NM20 that I reviewed not so long ago, here we have a bit less weight and a bit more speed. So NM20 is a bit more weighty and slightly less fast and slightly less detailed. Subjectively, I prefer NM25 more, but if you like leaning towards more natural tuning, you can check out NM20. And NM2 Plus, actually, for me, it's a reincarnation of NM2 Plus because they're doing the same things, but NM25 doing this on a newer level thanks to this Trap 2.0 technology. They giving you more natural treble, they giving you more coherent sound. And these earphones are not for everyone. They are not suiting for any track, but I definitely recommend you to check them out because they impressed me really much, and I enjoy them for last 3 or 4 days completely. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a great day.